Hello everybody and welcome to the stream. I just wanted to hop on and talk a little bit about kind of my own theories about the Radicoida. We had a nice stream following Makashi today, talking with a lot of people, and kind of threw an idea into the group because Makashi has his own idea. He knows, of course, a lot about the lore and all the canon. So he has this whole idea about time being a loop, something involving the Thargoids in witch space, which is very interesting, and it could be very well like in the direction as to what the Radicoida do. I was actually looking through this old footage because I'm right now on Distant Worlds 3 when I visited the Radicoida a few weeks back. And I was kind of trying to look at it, you know, with kind of fresh eyes, look at the location and think a bit more about these plants, after all, kind of from a botany angle, because, you know, Elite Dangerous likes science. And so the one thing that really stood out to me are like it's kind of blooming, right? So if they're flowers, we could say that it's probably like in the blooming phase. So that's kind of interesting because every flower has like different phases, and we see some like younger areas, we see some like growing areas. So that's interesting. And I was thinking most flowers like roses, for example, have defense mechanism because most flowers, most botany in real life has enemies, you know, birds or, you know, different things that eat them. And so that got me thinking specifically about these giant spires. You can kind of see them here in the video, and these are at all the Radicoida sites. There are these giant spikes that are kind of standing, you know, kind of through. You can see two of them here on the right, one on the left. All of the sites have quite a few of these spikes kind of interspersed kind of evenly throughout the whole. Here you can see one like very clearly on the left of my screen, and they're very sharp. Like the point of it is absolutely like a knife point. And the spires are always significantly higher than kind of like the rest of where the flowers are. And so that got me thinking that actually most likely those spires are like the thorns on a rose, right? They're probably a protective mechanism. And so that got me thinking, like, what's the only thing that we could possibly think of that would need protection, you know, like that would be like big enough to kind of eat these, to consider these flowers prey, that it would actually need defenses. And so that got me thinking about these spires, and the only thing I can think of is a Thargoid Titan, right? Because those are massive ships, and since we now have a, you know, pretty good feeling, it's not 100% confirmed, but it's looking more and more like what Makashi's original idea, that the Radicoida are influencing time somehow, and we know that Thargoids are, you know, probably have their home in witch space, so they're kind of living maybe mainly in this other dimension where maybe time doesn't exist, because when you use an FSD drive, you kind of create, I think, a wormhole, like a black hole right in front of your ship, and you kind of jump through it, and then you go out on the other side, and so no time passes between you going in and going out. You see that with the carriers also, when they kind of leave one space, they kind of leave there and they come out on the other end at the same time. So witch space is kind of this place without time. Now what if the Thargoids, we still don't really know like what they were ever doing here, right? What are they looking for? They have these spire sites of their own, they're kind of searching, collecting data. And I was thinking, what if this Radicoida is actually, like, it could be like a far pre-stage of the Thargoids. They're kind of like plant-like, or a mix of technology and alien biology, maybe plant biology somehow. You can call them murder flowers for a reason. But I was thinking, what if this particular plant, you know, has some kind of history with the Thargoids, and that's why it has these spirals, because it grows only when there are no Thargoids around, and we killed the Thargoids, we killed all the Titans. So the Milky Way galaxy, we could consider it kind of maybe safe from Titans for the moment. And maybe somehow the seeds of this realized it, that there are no Titans anywhere significantly close right now, and that kind of triggered it to start blooming, to start growing it. But even though it's doing that, it still has those defenses up that could be, for example, like very poisonous to Thargoid Titan. So it could be kind of like Thargoid Titan food, which got me thinking, well, what if some of the time bending capabilities and stuff like that that the Thargoids obviously have, that they actually need Radicoida, that actually that's what they're looking for, and they didn't find it in the Milky Way, they kind of found us and we had this whole war. But what they originally are after, maybe not even just in the Milky Way, but in all the different galaxies where they may be, as for all we know, they might be all over the universe, could be that they're actually looking for the Radicoida. So that's kind of like my view, that could be the connection to the Thargoids. And another thing which we actually worked on, which Bakashi was cool to pick up today, is that looking at the kind of commonalities between these three moons, I had this idea of like, well, when you have a plant, we know on Earth that every plant kind of has its ideal biome, that if you have a seed of it, that if you give it the right temperature, right moisture, right, whatever it needs, then it will grow. So that got me thinking, what do all of these three moons that the Radicoida are actually growing on, what do they actually all have in common? And so together with, is it Kayashi? We made the list today of different aspects, so the carbon dioxide atmosphere, atmospheric pressure, temperature, surface composition, etc. And we try to find worlds that are actually potentially suited for Radicoida, because I think actually that is part of the riddle that FTF wants us to solve, that they're kind of giving us one example of it, and that if we figure out what is it that kind of makes them grow, then we can actually maybe find other sites. And so we were kind of in the middle of that. Then of course Makashi had to go for dinner and ended his stream, and he kind of made a first search on what is it, on Spanch, to kind of look for different planets. That yielded one planet, and someone was actually kind enough to fly there quickly and they checked that out, but it turned out that planet actually didn't have an atmosphere, so that was kind of a dud. Makashi had set most of the parameters very tightly. For the last hour I've kind of been experimenting, like setting the parameters a little bit more loosely, and based on that I've now found actually, besides HIP 87621, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other potential worlds that actually could be totally having Radicoida right now. Now, unfortunately, none of them are very close to me because I am, like I said, on distant worlds right now. But I was thinking if anybody can check these out. So let me capture my window here. So these are them. You can see, like, I don't know if you can see actually all of them here. It's a little bit zoomed in. Let me correct this. Yeah, so these here are, so it captured HIP 876. What I basically did is, the only thing I changed from the parameters that me and Makashi were working on earlier is I changed the mass. So I allowed the main planet to have a bit more mass, but I think it's still very close. And as you can see, all of these worlds have the right amount of atmospheric pressure, more or less. Like they're very close, like points away. Each of them has the a surface temperature that is at least minimally correlated to what is happening in HIP 87621. The distance you can see here, and of course they all have a carbon atmosphere, according to Spanch anyways, the right amount of carbon, iron, nickel, phosphorus, and sulfur, which seem to be the other aspects that need to be there. So if any of you is watching this, other commanders out there, and any of these particular systems is in your reach, I would very much encourage anyone to go there and check out the specific planet bodies here in the second row and see if there are actually Radicoida there, because I think that these, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 systems and specific planetary bodies specifically are likely the best 8 candidates for actually discovering other Radicoida sites. That's kind of the idea, right? So just approaching it from a botany perspective and kind of taking that as the riddle, leaving aside, any maybe connections to the dark wheel or anything like that, but just saying, hey, let's look at the botany, let's look at the circumstances of the botany, and seeing if that actually yields results. So one of the worlds is about 300 neutron jumps away from where I am right now in the W3. So I'm thinking about maybe actually, if I have time tomorrow evening, to just spend, well, that's probably going to take me like 3 hours or something. But, I could probably get there. But if somebody is closer by, please sub or find me on Reddit. And yeah, it would be great if you can get there. Maybe join Mikashi's stream. Let us know the results. And if you find Radicoida there, please film it so we can all see, and then we'll have uncovered the next step in the mystery. So that's kind of just my 10 cents on what I think the most interesting things are to watch and research right now. And well, hope some of you have the time and are near enough to go check out those 8 worlds. I'll put them here on the screen one more time. So these are the 8. Besides, of course, HIP 87621 that we already know has Radicoida. But I would bet, well, not money, but I would be strongly suggesting that these other systems are very likely. They're very close numerically in every other aspect except for the Earth mass. But I think that's like just the least important aspect. So I think we can kind of negate that and just look at all the other circumstances. And then I think that these are very good candidates for that. So if you have time,